In light of David Grusch's whistleblower testimony where he claimed that the US government is in possession of extraterrestrial spacecraft and potentially even alien bodies, I thought it would be instructive to look at a very different but well-known case in UFO mythology and see if we can spot any common threads. So in today's video, we're going to be traveling to South America to explore one of the most intriguing UFO encounters in Brazilian history, the Varginha UFO incident. So get out your lava lamps and your I Want to Believe poster as we take a trip back to the 90s and relive this as of yet unexplained phenomenon. Our story takes us to the small town of Varginha, located in the state of Minas Gerais, Brazil. It was January 1996, when something extraordinary occurred that would forever etch Varginha into the annals of UFO history. Carlos de Souza, the first eyewitness to describe the incident, claimed that he had seen what appeared to be a damaged object fly across the sky and crash into a field. Thinking it was a human aircraft that had just crashed and might be in need of assistance, he rushed over to the scene. He described picking up a piece of the debris, saying it was similar to aluminum foil in appearance and texture. He crumpled it in his hand and said that it immediately went back to its original shape. Shortly after his arrival on the scene, he claims that the Brazilian military showed up, pointed a rifle in his face, and told him to leave. Although de Souza did not describe seeing any creatures near the crash site, he did describe an overwhelming sense of something like ammonia or sulfur. He gave an interview to the local media shortly after the incident and did not speak publicly on the topic again until 25 years later in James Fox's documentary on the Varginha incident called Moment of Contact. A few days after de Souza's encounter, 3 girls walking in town reported that they had seen a strange creature, which they described as a humanoid being with large red eyes, prominent bumps or protrusions on the forehead, and having a strong ammonia-like odor. They also claimed that it had dark skin with what appeared to be an oily texture. They quickly ran back to their mother at home in a panic and explained what they had seen. The mother returned with the girls to the scene, but did not see the creature herself. She did, however, describe seeing a footprint that was unlike any other animal footprint she had ever seen, with only 3 prominent toes. She too described a lingering ammonia-like smell. Hours after the girls' account of witnessing the creature, the military erected a blockade in the neighborhood. An eyewitness on camera in Moment of Contact claims that he had attempted to pass the blockade but was stopped by armed military personnel. On the same day, 6 miles away from the crash site that de Souza claims to have witnessed, eyewitnesses in the area called the local fire department with reports of an odd creature in the trees near their houses. Different eyewitnesses claim that the military were present at both sites and claims to have recovered at least one of these creatures at each site. Multiple other eyewitnesses came forward, with testimony verifying a large military presence on that day as well as seeing what appeared to be a flying object behaving in an unusual manner. A family that spoke to James Fox for his documentary, but did so with only their back shown because they didn't want to be on camera, described seeing an object on that day that appeared to be floating over a certain area for an extended period of time before flying away. These incidents gained widespread media attention, drawing the focus of both national and international news outlets. The Brazilian military initially denied any involvement or knowledge of the incident. However, later revelations and testimonies from military personnel suggested otherwise. Reports emerged of a military operation to retrieve an unidentified object and apprehend strange beings. One such report involves the tragic case of a young military officer named Marco Ceresi. His family claimed that Ceresi was one of the military personnel who captured the creature in the same area where the girls claimed to have seen it. It was said that Ceresi and another officer who was driving were nearby and the creature ran out in front of their truck. Ceresi then grabbed the creature with his bare hands and restrained it in the military truck. Ceresi and the driver, somewhat perplexingly, then are alleged to have transported the creature to the local hospital. It was here that military personnel, who multiple hospital staff say had cordoned off a section of the hospital, spoke with a hospital technician and requested that he perform x-rays on the creature. This technician claimed that he was not allowed to see the results of the x-rays. Ceresi, who was supposed to have come into direct contact with the creature and may have been scratched by it, later received treatment for a mysterious infection that appeared shortly after the incident. Ceresi apparently talked about the incident openly with the doctor that treated him because he was terrified that he was going to die from it. He did eventually end up succumbing to the infection a few weeks later and died, leaving the doctor that treated him perplexed as to the cause. His family still maintains that he died because of an illness he received from contact with the creature. 25 years later, James Fox claims to have discovered the military officer that was driving the truck used by him and Ceresi to transport the creature. He also finds another military whistleblower he dubs Military X to conceal his identity. Here's Fox on Joe Rogan describing the encounter.
The military officer, the guy that drove the creature around, I was sitting across from him. You can't see his face, but I did. And I'm looking this guy in the eyes. I'm thinking, I could be looking at a guy that drove a fucking alien around. You have no idea, dude. You have no idea.
How did he just...
Military X claims that he was one of the people that transported a dead alien body from the hospital. He states that he did not see the full body because it was partially covered in a small stainless steel box. He did, however, describe seeing the foot uncovered, and he claims that it had black oily skin and an odd V-shaped foot. Military X then claims that the body was transported from the hospital to a Brazilian military base in Campinas, where it was then confiscated by the United States military and flown back to the U.S. He claims that the Brazilian military at the time did not have the capability or resources to know how to handle the situation, and so turned it over to the Americans. And that appears to be where the Varginha Trail runs cold. Of course, not everyone believes the Varginha incident was extraterrestrial in nature. The military briefing at the time chalked the entire incident up to mass hysteria and mistaken identity, claiming that perhaps the girls had seen a marmoset or some other animal. Skeptics today argue along the same lines. They believe the military's involvement was a mere coincidence, unrelated to any extraterrestrial presence. For example, skeptics cited a military police report released in 2010 by the Brazilian military that gives a wide variety of explanations for what happened that day. For one, it concluded that the girls may have seen a local homeless man nicknamed Mudinho, who had been covered in mud after a rain and had simply mistaken him for a scary creature. The report also claims that Marco Ceresi did not die from a mysterious infection, but rather had had a cyst under his left armpit for some time and had an operation to remove it, which then became infected. Furthermore, Ceresi had not even been involved in any military operation on January 20th, despite multiple witnesses claiming that he had. The military presence in town? Scheduled vehicle maintenance. And the military presence at the hospital? Dropping off medical supplies. The small alien seen at the hospital with strange feet? A pair of expectant parents who happened to be little people. On the other hand, there are those who firmly believe that something truly out of this world occurred in Varginha. They point to testimonies, physical evidence, and the overall consistency of the numerous eyewitness accounts. Some witnesses even recall being visited by mysterious men in black after coming forward with their stories. The mother of the young girls claims that foreigners, although she couldn't place their accents, appeared at her house to offer her a suitcase of cash if she changed her testimony and came forward publicly to say that her daughters had made the story up. She refused, defending her daughters on what they claimed to have witnessed, and demanded that the men leave her house. This woman's testimony and that of her 3 daughters has remained largely consistent over the last 25 years. The Varginha UFO incident remains shrouded in mystery, with no definitive answers. It serves as a reminder that there is much that we don't understand about the universe, and continues to raise questions about our government's knowledge of extraterrestrial encounters. The consistency and sheer abundance of eyewitness testimony about this incident, at the very least, provides some compelling reasons to think that something did indeed happen, and that the Brazilian government, and likely the US government, knows much more than they're letting on. Perhaps one day the truth will be unveiled, and we will finally get to the bottom of what really happened in Varginha that week of January 1996. I hope you found this video fascinating and thought-provoking. If you did, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all of our future explorations of the unknown. These videos take a lot of time to research and edit, so I really appreciate your support as I work to create content that you all enjoy. And in the meantime, keep seeking answers, because the truth is out there.